oinkies, and this will. Oinky, oinky, kill.
That was a clip from the official trailer for Pig Hill, the 2025 movie adaptation of Sunbury Press author Nancy Williams' novel, Pig. Welcome to the side of Sunbury Press where nightmares walk alongside magic and galaxies. You are watching the Hellbender Books Podcast, and I am your host, Kayla Kisthardt. Today, I am joined by Sunbury author Nancy Williams. Nancy is a 1990 graduate of Allegheny College in Meadville, PA, with a BA in English. She's currently the author of 2 novels with Sunbury Press, including Rabid Flanders and Pig, which has been adapted as the movie Pig Hill. Her Hawkmoon trilogy is in the process of being rehomed at Sunbury Press and has won a number of awards. Nancy, thank you so much for joining me today. It's so good to have you on.
Thank you. So I'm so glad to be here.
Yay. I'm really excited to kind of dive into your stories. I had the opportunity to read Pig over the weekend and to watch the film adaptation. And I'm so excited to dive into all that goodness because it's framed as a horror novel, but there's so much within that. There's processes of grief and there's loss and there's romance, which I'm a sucker for personally. So is there anything—
all life, isn't it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Is there anything that you want to share up front before we kind of dive into the questions?
Nope, I'd say just fire away.
Perfect. All right, let's dive in. So your most recent release, Pig, covers so many themes and facets, like I just mentioned. When people hear horror novel, they usually expect monsters and gore, which Pig definitely has. But at its heart, Pig is really about trauma, grief, and overcoming pain. And we see that with Carrie and Andy in their beautiful relationship. And what made horror, do you think, the right lens for you to explore these very real emotions and experiences?
Yeah, so I wish I could say that I actually had a plan, but I really didn't. I started out to really write just a balls out horror monster story.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just it took as I call it, it took a hard left. I'm in the middle of the night, one night, I think it was 3-4 in the morning. There's one character in the book. I don't know how many spoiler alerts we can do here, but there's one character in the book that is the brother that just was nagging at me, like, what is this guy's deal? He keeps showing up.
Mm-hmm.
And finally I had an epiphany in the middle of the night. I'm like, oh, that's what's happening there. So, but I guess, to your point, it is life. There are, horrible aspects, sadly, to life, grief and loss and all of those things. They do, I think, provide a framework for deeper issues that we all, maybe not all of us, but a lot of us have experienced, trauma, past abuse issues, that things we maybe don't even really remember or can't even acknowledge, things that maybe have happened, which is an interesting aspect of the book. Again, spoiler alerts, I don't know, but psychological aspects of grief and loss and trauma that are horrifying. So they are part of our human story. That's kind of where I came from, all of that, just to kind of explore those issues. I come from a background in a lot of social work, domestic sexual violence work, that kind of thing. And I've seen a lot of, unfortunately, victims, who have those experiences, survivors that have had those experiences. And so I think that's where it definitely evolved into something else that I wasn't even aware that it was going to, turn into. I think that's one of the things that's when writing really works well, when it's really cranking, is when the story sort of takes on a light, creates its own weather. Takes on a life of its own. Yeah, and that's kind of what happened. I almost felt like I took a back seat to it. Not channeling something, not anything like that. But it really, it's sort of self-directed at that point. That makes it easier, and it makes it a lot more fun too, because I feel like I'm almost along for the ride.
Yeah, it's discovery writing. And you, when you're brainstorming things, you have shared that you'll kind of think through scenes before bed, kind of like nightmare fuel a little bit. So you had that idea for the brother to it dropped in while you were kind of doing your daydreaming at night.
Yep. Yeah. Nightscaping, I guess you'd call it.
I like it.
Yeah. It's probably not a great advertisement for my writing, but I tell myself stories to put myself to sleep. Oh,
Hey,
great.
it works, it works.
Definitely want to read your stuff.
I mean, hey, it was enticing to me. Yeah.
But yeah, it just I don't know. I mean, sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. But I do like to do my process is that it's very organic. I don't do any, outlines, or I don't really construct a story. I just kind of let it happen. Same thing with a lot of, dialogue. It just seems to, a lot of it's unplanned. Maybe sometimes it'll even take the story into the characters will just be talking. And all of a sudden I find like, oh, the story, I guess, is going this way now.
Yeah.
And, most of the time, knock on wood, thankfully, it seems to have worked. But there have been times when I've been like, okay, you guys, you're not really talking about that. So we just have to backpedal. But
I feel like I saw so much of your personality come through in the dialogue, so much of the wittiness. And I think there was one line, and I'll try to remember it, but it was like, who is this bitch that's writing the story of my life? Basically, that was along
That's
the
right.
line.
I remember that. Yeah. I forget I haven't read the book in a while, but I do remember that scene. Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
like,
and
that's so, just from speaking with you before, I was like, that's so Nancy, like her personality really coming through, that wittiness and that humor and that levity in the story, which I really appreciated. It was a really good balance.
yeah, I think that, it's not to play a reader or whatever you might say, but I think that most good stories do kind of are like a little bit of a roller coaster. Certainly films are a bit of a roller coaster. You kind of keep you off balance a little bit. I think most film constructions, will just go to film for a second, but there's the maybe scary moment, and then you kind of go back down, maybe there is something funny, and so everybody's like, oh, let's relax, and then all of a sudden you get hit with something else, and so that push pull, I think, is an important part of engagement, reader engagement, or being a moviegoer or anything like that.
Yeah, it definitely, and it builds the suspense for sure.
100%.
Yeah, I was kind of lulled into this false sense of complacency with Pig, where I was along for the ride with Carrie and Andy and their budding romance and their journey to cope with their trauma and their grief and their loss. And then bam, I'm hit with a pig guy out of nowhere. And I'm like, oh, I forgot this was I forgot it's based on a local legend. Like, this is at the core of the story.
Yeah. It's so there's definitely some rough themes in there. Again, it's sadly not anything that some people have, just the psychological trauma, I guess, is something that's, it's a very real thing. And unfortunately, we hear about it every friggin' day. I mean, it's on, it's just constant. So I don't know whether you get into, art mirroring life or vice versa or whatever, but
no, definitely.
Yeah.
I feel like the best art comes from personal experiences, and it makes sense that you approach the angle you did with Carrie, working or volunteering at a women's shelter with the experience that you have. I feel like it's so important to have those personal elements, and we write best kind of what we know or what we're
yes, absolutely. And there's there's a certain amount of integrity that I want to keep in a story like that. Again, just to not to. I mean, there's a certain amount of suspension of disbelief, I guess, in just about any horror novel, certainly. I mean, you have to kind of let yourself go, get carried away.
Yeah.
But, but still to keep it kind of anchored in reality. I mean, I do love those like a vampire story, which is, maybe they do exist. I don't know, but something that's like really far out. But then there's stories like the movie Silence of the Lambs, or some of Stephen King's like Misery, where like that could happen. That totally could happen, and those I think are fundamentally frightening in a lot of ways, because that shit could go down and to anybody. So that's absolutely, I think, more fundamentally frightening than a werewolf story, which is like okay.
Intangible. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't want to spoil too much, so maybe I'll end up cutting this. I'll just say this as an aside. But the aspect of Carrie, these pig people being a physical manifestation of Carrie's trauma, how did that kind of come to you? Because you said it was kind of like a discovery as you were going along. Like, how did that concept drop in? Was it something that you had predicted, or did that take you by surprise?
I think that, it took me by surprise. Yeah, because I think when I started writing it, I was literally like, they were going to be pig people, just so I was going to take it there. But then as again, her past trauma started to manifest itself, in various ways. It just like it made sense in a way that, and I did some research about, just blocking trauma, like not to go like super dark, but people who've been victims of sexual assault, when that trauma is actually happening, your mind goes someplace else.
Yeah.
You will do anything to redirect to
compartmentalize.
Keep from experiencing what you're actually experiencing. So you do something. The mind is an incredibly powerful thing.
Yeah.
Muscle. I think that just kind of happened. I didn't plan that.
It was beautifully executed. Like I appreciated that more, I think, like you said, on the topic of the things that are real and the things that are rooted in reality being scarier than anything intangible like werewolves or vampires. I think I appreciated that more than if it had been actual pig people, like a real monster, because it felt more raw and it got me emotionally. I was like, oh shit, like this is all rooted in childhood trauma that she experienced, not only something that she experienced like recently with the death of her husband, Ben, but something that she's been repressing for her entire life.
Yeah. I got goosebumps just now thinking about the one scene, again, spoiler alert, where she's been, recovered from the one bit of trauma. She's in her kitchen and all of a sudden Chris shows up and she sees the the pig person, but it's an illusion. And there he is. And it's just that like, there's the monster. There's the very real monster. And, it's somebody who's close to you. Just how, that's just terrible.
It was her like protecting herself from the truth that somebody that she's so close to and that she loved
and who loves. Yeah. I mean, that's the fucked up part about it. And that's again, incest and, where you're, I forget what what is it when you fall in love with your captor? I forget what that syndrome is called, but
Stockholm syndrome. Is that what it
thank
is?
you. Yes. So I mean, that it's incredible emotional dynamics that are taking place there that no one can predict, and it's hard not to have judgment about those either. I mean, like, oh, really? I guess you must have liked it if you fell in love with your captor, or you must really like be sexually attracted to your brother, but you love him, and like, how could you love him? So something must be fucked up with you. You must be something wrong with you. So all those things, all those dynamics are at play. And I mean, I don't know what Carrie's going to do after all this. I mean,
she's got a lot of therapy to go to, I think.
A lot of therapy. And, and she has been going to, therapy in the book too. And so there is that resolution. But I mean,
that was really beautiful to see that representation of seeking out. I mean, Carrie didn't necessarily seek it out. I think she was kind of coerced into it a little bit. It was like, hey girl, this might be really helpful for you with everything you've gone through. But to have that representation, and you explored through the lens of the psychiatrist, like the different aspects of mental struggles and mental health and how those sorts of dynamics go with a therapist beautifully. I mean, I've gone to therapy before, so I'm guessing, I don't know if you have as well, but it was just the way that Jason led Carrie to the realization without applying too much pressure was very real. I just thought it was beautifully conducted, and it was great to see that representation and to see therapy depicted in a positive light, because it is so important for processing those sorts of heavy things in our lives.
Yeah. And your therapy is only as good as the therapist that you get, honestly. I mean, let's not sugarcoat that, but and it's only matters as much as you're willing to bring to it as well.
Yeah.
You just want to just be shut down and not engage and just continue to be stuck. It's all the therapy in the world's not gonna. So it's a position of strength on both ends, so you've got Carrie on one end, who's got a willingness to confront these very deep-seated traumatic issues, and you've got a very skilled therapist who's, I mean, he's clearly open and sure, not without his own flaws, but he's there for her in a way that I thought was good.
No, I love that for sure.
Yeah.
I kind of went off from the questions that I had outlined, but I feel like this is even
great.
better.
Yep, that's the good thing about good conversations. They create their own weather.
Yeah. So I guess the next question that I have for you is, it's a huge milestone for any book to reach the screen like Pig did as Pig Hill. But as an author, writing a book gives you total control over the atmosphere, the intimacy, the inner lives of your characters. What is it about Carrie and Andy's story that you can only truly experience on the page, do you think?
Well, I mean, anytime you're reading a novel, I think an author has a greater opportunity to delve into innermost thoughts, backstory, that kind of thing. Whereas in a film, if it's artfully done, you rely a lot on body language sometimes, or flashbacks or whatever. But a lot of times those innermost thoughts are being conveyed literally. Again, if you've got a great actor, it's just, again, those subtle facial expressions. I mean, nuance. It's so, I think depends on nuance a lot. Again, if it's well done.
Yeah.
But for me, I think Larry McMurtry once said, he didn't really like to write short stories because I'd rather have 300 pages to prove my point. So he was a novelist, and so I kind of get that, in terms of being, a film has maybe an hour and a half to maybe 2.5 hours long to get the point across, or to convey a whole lot of stuff. It's condensed, whereas I can blather along for pages. So I think you have an advantage as an author, as a writer, to be able to really get into all that juicy stuff. With Carrie and Andy, particularly with Andy's relationship with his parents, particularly his father. The film didn't really touch on that at all.
Yeah.
But I thought that was important in his character development. Like, what kind of a guy is he? I mean, he's damaged, and he's not very confident, but then for him to get into this, involved in this crazy, mess, basically.
The woman he just met.
Yeah. I mean, he had to really, step up.
Yeah.
And I don't think I wondered myself whether he was going to be equipped to do that. Just because again, he's just so full of self-loathing and guilt over what happened to his son and all of that. So, and of course, Carrie's, her relationship with her husband, which again was really not touched on in the film at all. That's just character development that I think that can be lost. Now, in the film's defense, it was a low budget film. There's things that I learned about filmmaking that I didn't staying in my lane. I had no idea, but actors insurance policies, like they can't, do certain things without a huge spike in, what they're fiscally, required to have. They can't be on a boat unless there's a huge amount of insurance added on to, things like that. So in the book, there's a lot of stuff on a boat, and that's like, well, the actors, they just didn't have the budget to do that, so they had to redo the script to accommodate that.
No, that makes sense.
So there's a lot of that stuff that you have to take into consideration that I would not have. I'm just like, what the fuck did you do to my book? You ruined it. No, there was some considerations that they just had to make, because it's a very small production company, their first film. So I think they did the best they could in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
They were just had to operate under a certain amount of constraints. But
yeah, definitely.
What was your question?
No, I love it. It touched on so many different topics.
All right, Andy and Carrie, right?
And I love that you touched on Andy's relationship with his father. Andy choosing to punish himself by returning to his childhood home and living with his mother who has dementia, his father who's abusive to him, and is just really a piece of shit. Like, he's a cranky old man, but it seems he was that way his entire life. And
he's a dick.
Yeah. It's so heartbreaking to see him subject himself to that treatment because he thinks he deserves it.
Exactly.
An accident that happened with his child.
Yeah.
That really
very true. And so that development, you took that in a great direction. Yeah. So that's exactly, yeah. I mean, so I think in again, on the page, you can really explore stuff like that. And, I think, again, if you had a bigger budget, a longer film, you maybe could explore some of that stuff. But I could also argue that for pacing, and again, what they wanted to do with the film was, again, make it really more of a horror film. That stuff, I think I can see how it would take a backseat.
Yeah.
But yeah, so.
I think with the movie, definitely the focus was more on the local legend, and I think the book was a lot more characterization. It was character based,
character driven, yeah.
Inner world, which I'm a sucker for character driven plots. So I really enjoy
I think they make things just so much more interesting. I mean, I'm taking the time to especially read a book, but I really want to know these people. Now again, if all things considered, money and all that shit, a movie certainly can do that. We'll bring up Silence of the Lambs again. I mean, I think there was a huge, if we haven't done it already, but there's a huge, I mean, you really get into Jodie Foster's character. Like, you through those flashbacks. And again, I mean, she's a brilliant actress. So it's, no brainer that she's able to pull that off. But
yeah,
just little, facial expressions and just things that like, you just get what she's going through. Like, she doesn't have to say anything, or you just see it. It's all right there. So it can be done, but.
No, definitely. Yeah. I also think what fed into the characterization being executed so beautifully was the dual POVs with Carrie and Andy, switching back and forth between them, because you would leave us on a cliffhanger with Carrie and you'd hop over to Andy and be like, what the hell is happening with Carrie? I need to go back, but I need to go through this first. He doesn't even know what's going on. Poor guy. But I think that really immersed me. It always immerses me more into a world when you have multiple perspectives or two perspectives.
Yeah, I like that too. Rabbit Flanders, if my memory serves, I think it was strictly the guy's what's his name, Mark Oldman. God, it's my own book. I can't remember the fucking guy's name, but anyway, I think it's told strictly from his point of view. Which, I think that for that novel, I think it served its purpose.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I do like that multiple perspective. It's interesting, stylistically, what I've been not seeing or going through, but seeing, doing some current editing with Hawkmoon, which I'm sure we'll get to in a minute. But I remember when I was growing up, reading a lot of books, the POVs, point of views, changed like within paragraphs. Like there was no double spacing, like, oh, now we're going to have this person. It was just, so-and-so thought this. And then the next sentence, so-and-so, now this other person is thinking this. So I think stylistically, and maybe I know I'm not wrong. Cause I was literally just reading some stuff that I had read when I was a kid. And I'm like, see, God damn it. I think it's changed a lot. And I remember when I, was first really getting into writing back in 2005, 8 maybe. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I had sent some of my manuscripts off to a writers conference, Pikes Peak Writers Conference in Colorado Springs, and they had a great opportunity where you could, they had a contest. But if you wanted to, have your submission, it was only like the first 50 pages. But if you wanted an agent or an editor to critique those first pages, you'd pay $35 and they'll do that for you along the line. So I had Grace, which was Sunbury, God bless you guys, is rehoming. My POVs were just all over the place. And because I just had read Lonesome Dove, and Lonesome Dove's POVs are all over the place. But Larry McMurtry is a Pulitzer Prize winning novelist. He can get away with that, I guess. But so I thought, well, if he can do it, so can I.
Yeah, why not?
No, you can't. So I remember the editor that sent my sample, my sample back. He was like, POV change, POV change, POV change. I was just like,
it was intentional. Like, why can't I do it?
I do it. Right. Fuck you. But anyways. But I fixed that, and I feel like I'm yelling, but
no, it's okay.
I fixed that, and I really cleaned it up. And we had one of our last conversations. Lo and behold, I resubmitted that sample the next year, and I won first prize in the historical fiction division. So clearly it was a good, it was a good thing. But I do think, I'm just rambling, but I do think that I think that has changed a little bit. I mean, I think, styles change with writing, over the years. I mean, things, I guess not too long ago, first person narrative was completely out. Nobody wanted to read that at all. And you don't see it too much anymore either. Older stuff you certainly do, but a lot of it's, third person.
Yeah, I know I definitely am preferential to that a little bit.
Yeah, so it's just interesting how things change, but I mean, there is definitely a right way to do things and a wrong way to do things, but anyway, blah blah blah.
No, I love it. And I feel like the entering yourself into competitions and putting yourself out there for critique and criticism, as this was when you were first starting off writing again, right? When you were kind of getting back into it a little bit.
Yep. Yeah. Because I started writing when I was 17. And then I kind of went on hiatus for a long time, moved out to Colorado and did a bunch of other just, life. And then really came back to Meadville and got back into it. So, yeah.
I feel like that's invaluable. And it's scary. It's daunting to put yourself out there, but it's better to put yourself out there before you try to publish a book than it is to.
Yeah, I think it's only scary if you're just being governed by your own ego, and you don't really give a shit about the work. You just want to see, a book cover with your name on it. I mean, anybody can do that. You can, go off to a vanity press and they'll publish your grocery list, for God's sake. So there's no validation in that. And I know, plenty. Not judging, whatever, but there is some, there's huge validation to, if you want the work to be good, you might not have it. You might genuinely suck and it might just not be for you. You might as well just just go do something else.
Yeah.
Or go to a vanity press if that's really, spend $3,000 or whatever it is that they charge to
you.
Yeah. I actually got an email while my brother sent it to me. He was like, "Oh, I see this. I saw this thing on Facebook." Like right away, I'm like, "Don't."
Oh, no.
I didn't want to know, but just for shits and grins, I looked them up. You know how much they wanted to charge you to publish your book? Sit back, $10,000. These people wanted $10,000 to publish your book. It's like, you've got to be out of your friggin' minds. Yeah, I thought $3,000 was outrageous, or even $1,500 was too much, but $10,000. Yeah, $10,000. Open your own. You can go on, Amazon, the Create Space, and just do it yourself.
Yes,
for God's sake,
for a lot cheaper. Yeah. Oh my God,
that's just outrageous. That ought to be illegal.
Yes, I feel like at that point it's taking advantage of people.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Yeah, and well, not too many people would be able to do that anyway, because who's got $10,000 laying around? I don't.
Me.
So, but anyway. Not me.
No, but it's a craft. Art is a craft. Writing is a craft. Yes. And if you don't want to treat it that way, if people don't want to treat it that way and they just want to have something with their name published as an ego stroke, then people can definitely do that. Right. Yeah, I think if you're really committed to the craft and bettering yourself, I know I want to improve.
I love the editing process. That's my favorite part of the whole thing. I can't wait to hear back from an editor. Like, okay, let's hear it. You know what? I may not agree with everything that he or she says, but I want to hear it.
Yeah.
And I'm 9 times out of 10, I defer to the editor. Like, yeah, you're probably right. That probably is a piece of shit line. So let's just get rid of it.
You're working with.
I was being self-indulgent there. Delete.
Checks and balances. We need it. Oh, you're working with Lucia, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's so yeah.
I think we clicked right away.
It's awesome. Nice. I'm really excited for that trilogy to be homed at.
I'm so grateful to that. I'm probably sound obsequious when I keep telling this on Lawrence. When at the movie premiere in Meadville, he was just like, "Yeah, that's not a problem." I'm like, really?
I mean, it's
not a problem. I fully expected him to bulk. I don't know why, but I just, because they're, I don't know. I just thought I feel like Sunbury's doing me a favor. But I'm so delighted that these are gonna, and actually, Hawkmoon's the only one that's been, that's a reprint. The other two I mean, they just never got, I mean, I wrote them, I never did anything with them. They never got published. So they're, so she is going to have a little bit more work in for her.
Love it.
Yeah. So, but I'm really so looking forward to the whole process. It's great.
Awesome. Yay. Well, on the topic of that trilogy, Hawkmoon trilogy features fierce female protagonists like Sadie Hawkmoon and Molly Stone as they survive a brutal frontier. What can Sunbury readers expect as this trilogy makes its new home with us? And what drew you to write such complex anti-heroines in the 1800s West? I know we kind of touched on this a little bit in our interview with the inspiration for the story. But
so just to touch base on that again. So when I was in high school, I think I remember just a little anecdote. I was lying on the couch in my parents' house and I was watching some Western on television. It was called Desperados, I think. I mean, classic. You can't get any more formulaic than that. And it was a typical, it was like the gunslinger, I mean, it was very entertaining, but I thought, I'm like, I would like to do something different with that formula. I mean, it's tried and true. We love the old, Clint Eastwood character. I mean, I'll eat that up with a spoon every day. I mean, I love that shit. And I love horses and I'm fascinated with the frontier. I always have been.
Yeah.
Like I said, kind of got into, was very fortunate to go live in Colorado for about 5 years. Anyway, cowboys and Indians just really cut my teeth on all of that. Bonanza and Little House on the Prairie and all that good stuff. And Lonesome Dove, of course, is one of my favorite novels of all time. Having said that, I do love to kind of buck the formula. I think that's fun. It's just offer a new perspective on things. I think anybody who's interested in what's it called? Godless. That was on Netflix, I think. Have you seen that at all? It's definitely check it out. It came out probably 5-6 years ago now. I can't believe it's probably true, but it's still on. It's got Jeff Daniels, Sam Waterston, a bunch of other people, but I think it's a very fresh take on a Western. It's a limited series, but it has many, many very strong female characters. I mean, it's totally goes against the formula, if you will, and they are 100% believable and 100% sympathetic. They're women. They're not just women dressed up in men's clothes. Just trying to like shift their identity to like, I'm just going to be a man now. But they're fully feminine creatures, but they're badasses.
I love that.
Badasses, yeah, and they're everything. They don't forfeit any of their femaleness.
Yeah.
And also are tough as shit and brutal at times. But also, I mean, they got enigmatic, charismatic, empathetic. So they kind of, they're that kind of the whole package, which
I love that. They don't feel the need to size themselves down to fit into men.
Yeah. So, I mean, of course, I wrote Hawkmoon again when I was like 17 years old. The first draft was shit. It was horrible, but I rewrote a lot of it, most of it, all of it. And made it, I think, pretty solid. But yeah, I just love the idea of let's take the Western idea, the idea of the Western woman, Carolyn Ingalls or whatever, who's lovely, but let's try something else out. And so Sadie Hawkmoon and Molly Stone are very similar creatures, and I'm not going to talk about too much about it because there are some spoilers there that I don't want to give away for sure. But I think that, and I just love I've always loved the idea of the frontier. Have you ever been out west? Have you ever?
Well, I've been to California, but that's a little,
you skip the middle.
Yeah.
In Colorado, Nebraska, Texas, the prairie section basically is what we're
I've not been there.
Well, give it a go sometime if you get a chance. I mean, the people have always characterized the plains as being, oh my God, it's so boring driving through Kansas. And I disagree totally. I mean, the drama of that emptiness is spectacular.
Yeah.
I mean, you get out there and I remember driving out there for the first time there was a point on I-70 where I was the only living creature in sight. There was a moment where there was no other cars on the interstate. It was just me and nothing, just no trees, nothing. And it was just like, Jesus Christ, you feel so small and so vulnerable in that setting. And it's very dramatic. I mean, the mountains are spectacular. I mean, Pennsylvania has its own beauty, the rainforest or whatever, but that is so stark. And I mean, it literally is, to maybe a cliche, but it is literally a blank canvas. I mean, it's really incredible to be out there and to just, I mean, if you just pull over in your car, or if you're lucky enough to like just walk out into there and just you are, I mean, fucking alone. And it really brings, I think, home how small we are, in a way. I'm like literally as creatures, how teeny tiny we are on this, like a little pinhead on this planet. And then again, and then you just see all the other shit like buffalo and antelope and just literally the big sky. I mean, it's incredible. I would, I don't discount that at all. I hardly disagree with somebody that says Kansas is boring or the Colorado plains are boring. I mean, I think it's just incredibly fascinating. It's a tremendous ecosystem. There's a great book called Prairie Earth, which I bought. It's old. I got that when I first started. Well, not when I first started writing Hawkmoon, but just kind of because when I actually first wrote Hawkmoon, I had never been out west at all. So it was all.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I had never been there.
It's hard to write from a place that you haven't been.
Yeah. In fact, I had a friend who was driving out there, and I'm like, take some pictures because I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah, I need references.
Yeah, and of course, you do have the westerns that do that, but this book really gave this tremendous sense of the ecosystem that the prairie is. There's shortgrass prairie and tallgrass prairie, and just I mean, it's fascinating. And so, what a great place to stage a story.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, and it actually is it's actually almost a character in the story itself, just, I mean, that backdrop dictates a lot of the plot. So it's very much a part of the story, that landscape is, it dictates a lot of the characters, what they do and how they feel and all that kind of stuff. So,
yeah. Well, I'm excited to delve into that next when it is with Sunbury. Do you think you would ever move back out there? You speak so highly of the West. It sounds like you're almost a little bittersweet for it.
I do miss it. Yeah. I mean, it's really incredible. I mean, it's expensive now. I mean, Kansas probably isn't, but who wants to live there?
Tornadoes.
I would, but like Colorado and certainly is. I mean, Colorado has everything except for the beach. I mean, it's just has all four corners of it. Has to offer a little something for everybody. And Wyoming it's really cold out there, though. That's one bummer about it. I lived in Leadville, Colorado. That's where I was, and boy, you could get 40 below with no wind chill on in the wintertime. I mean, it was cold.
That's crazy.
Yeah, the 4th of July fireworks were snowed out one year. I mean, like by 8 inches of snow. I mean, they were snowed out.
What?
Yeah, so it's extreme.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd live in Leadville again. You're a tree line. It's at 10,000 feet, so you were right, right there. Yeah. But yeah, I've often thought about that. I don't know if I get my husband on board with that.
Fair.
I have most of my family, all my family's out here in the New Jersey, Pennsylvania area. So I think we're here to stay, but I've been back to visit a few times and yeah, it's just lovely.
Yeah. I mean, the way that you're talking about it, I definitely have to make the trek out there at some point. I'm from the Lehigh Valley, so I'm in a valley. I'm surrounded by mountains and trees.
Oh, yeah.
It feels very safe and contained in this area. Especially Appalachia. I mean, Appalachia isn't safe and contained. Appalachia is a little wild, but having Appalachia in your backyard and being surrounded by that. I moved out to Ohio for a period, and that was so flat and a little bit unnerving. I didn't know what to do with it, but I think Ohio is probably a little bit different than Colorado and Kansas and those places. So.
Yeah, Ohio definitely is. I mean, it's starting to give you it eases you into the rest of it. But there's still at least some trees and some of the flatness in Ohio. But yeah, you're absolutely 100% right. Yeah, and I think for me, certainly, because a lot of people bitch about Meadville or Pennsylvania being, it's shithole or boring, or, small town or whatever. When you're young, I think it's, you need to get away for a little while, get some perspective, and then come back.
100%.
Yeah, I came back because of, my parents were elderly and had kind of fallen ill. My mom had passed away, and then my dad was definitely getting infirm. And then, so I wanted to come back and take care, be with him. So that's why I came back. But I probably, if that hadn't happened, I may well still be out there. I don't know. It's pretty fucking great out there. I mean, there's history here too. There's history, of course, in the East. I don't think you can get any better than like Virginia or the southern states with the Civil War history and all that. But certainly the Western history is also equally fascinating. I mean, there's one point where if you drive through Wyoming, there's a little historical marker, one of those little things. Yeah. And it's where you can actually look off to the west, and it's just flat Wyoming prairie. You can actually see the wheel ruts still from the Oregon Trail.
Are you serious?
It's still there. Yes, it's right there.
So untouched.
Yeah, I mean, they're just, it's just a field of, it's not a field, it's prairie, but God damn it, you can still see those ruts after 100 plus years. And there's some places also which in Colorado where they've got it's Dinosaur National Monument where there's dinosaur tracks fossilized in the mud.
What?
It's right there. It's incredible. Yeah. And then don't even get me started on the Grand Canyon. I mean, it's just outrageous.
I love it. And this makes me even more excited to dive into that trilogy because I feel like I already feel so immersed in the setting just from the way that you're describing it. I can't even fathom how well you executed that in the series. Like, I'm sure. Yeah, no, I believe it. Just the way that you're talking now. I don't think so.
Well, I didn't pan out.
No, you're just not to I don't want to use the phrase like blow smoke up your ass, but we'll use that because for lack of better words. But you are a jack of all trades in the sense that you are able to execute dialogue and characterization and setting and touch on something like larger than the story itself with local legends and monsters and things like that equally well. Like, I feel like you're so well-rounded and it's really easy to feel immersed in your world because there aren't any like gaps. You're not like, oh yeah, she's really good at this, but she's not so good at this. Like, you're just a very well-rounded author.
Oh, stop.
Oh, it's true. It was such a pleasure to read Pig, and so I'm really excited to read this as well.
Well, and there's definitely some. I think I enjoy it's all life experience, but there's a lot of those same elements that appear in Pig that do show up in the trilogy. There's serial killers. There's unrequited love. There's romance. There's sexual assault. Unfortunately, it seems to be if I have any sort of ongoing theme, it definitely seems to creep in to almost everything that I write. Because it's a very powerful issue for me. Again, with my past work in the women's services, the local shelter, I just that and cruelty to animals and children and
the cats.
I know, isn't that awful? I shouldn't have written that.
No, the cats are strung out.
I got a little kitty right here next to me, Chloe, my cat, who I dedicated. That was the dedication from Pig was to my cat.
I was wondering who that was. Oh
my cat. Yep.
So sweet. Cats. Well, more than 3 cats. You killed 4 cats because they're childhood cat too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I that was hard to write. I almost took that out, but I thought, well, again, it's just the brutality of that fucker. I mean, he was just a bad dude. So
yeah, for sure. I feel like it's important to touch on those topics though, especially within, I don't know, you talk about like Stephen King and really prolific authors who touch on obviously really heavy topics. Like you have some weird things in Stephen King books too,
Very,
like
yeah,
in
yeah.
It
Oh, yeah.
specifically. I think it's important to explore those heavier topics with a strong female protagonist and through that lens, in a way that isn't gratuitous or that isn't just for show. It's purposeful, and it's really unpackage the depth and what all of that means and the impact that it had, the implication of something like that happening to somebody. I think it's really important.
Yeah, and just to hold it with a certain energy that is, like you said, no gratuitousness and not for shock value or anything like that. I mean, it's when I first wrote Hawkmoon, I did a whole phone, not a physical book tour, but I did a lot of publicity around that book, and a lot of them were radio shows that, I mean, they all were bringing the issue of sexual violence to light, and unfortunately, I think, with the current events happening now, I mean, we cannot forget that shit. Yeah. That's happening. And, again, to have integrity with it, and we can't forget what's happened to people and what is happening to people. And it's, not to sensationalize it or I don't know. It's just, it enrages me to think of the shit that's gone down, and it will probably has always happened and probably always will happen. Sadly, to men and women, you forget that men have been victims of sexual assault as well. And that's, you can't forget that. It's just, I can understand why some people, I don't want to read about that, or I don't want to watch that, but it's like, well, God damn it. There's somebody out there who's really suffering because somebody turned away or, didn't want to see it. And as ugly as it is, I think we have to, part of human nature, sadly, part of our human nature is ugly. And we have to acknowledge that in our humanity. We are not all that great all the time.
It's true.
We're not. So I think just acknowledging that and bringing awareness to it and recognizing it is important.
Yeah. I know I keep touching on the balance that you showed in Pig with the levity and the heaviness and everything, but I just feel like you really encapsulated humanity in what you just said, in having those heavier themes and the trauma and the grief and the loss, but then also having those really kind of intimate moments between Andy and Carrie and the sweetness of them falling in love. And also they deal with the guilt of what they did at the beginning and everything, which is another part of the heaviness. But I feel like, what is humanity if not making the most out of what we have and still making the most even in the worst of circumstances?
Yeah. And working on, being whole, as a person or as people, we all, things have happened to all of us, and we have our stories, and you can either, one of the themes, I guess, the main thing about Grace, which you'll see the whole thrust of that book, or premise of the book, really, or point of it is self-forgiveness. The title Grace, it's not about God's forgiveness necessarily, but it's about forgiving yourself and acknowledging that, I have a story, this happened to me. And also Andy, I think, is going through this as well. Like, in Pig, like, this happened to me. This is part of my story, but I'm not going to be defined by it. I'm not going to, I'm not going to let it govern everything else that I do. And that's a huge theme in Grace. Molly Stone has a past that she's a really, really difficult past that she's really just, again, allowed herself to be defined by it. She's her actions are totally dictated by this event, childhood event. And so just again, that divineness of self-forgiveness is the theme. And becoming whole and just being acknowledging that, shit's happened, but I can make the choice to move on from there, because it is a choice to move on from those things.
It's a hard one, but yeah, it is for sure. Yeah.
It's not easy, because we get comfortable in our stuff, like, oh, it's, I'm actually terrified of being happy. What would that even look like? I don't even know. So I'm just going to sit here and shit.
Like, the sadness is more comfortable and safe, or the anger or whatever it is safer than challenge yourself to actually allow yourself to be happy and to experience joy in life.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, I love that. I guess we should get into the rapid fire round.
Okay.
I will ask you this or that, and then you'll just give like your first reaction, whatever the answer is there. Okay. Are you all ready?
I'm ready.
Sweet. All right. Paperback or hardcover?
Oh, the hard one. I'm going to say paperback.
First question.
Paperback? I don't know. Paperback.
Okay, cool. Paperback. Small town urban legends like the Pig People or creature features?
Well, I guess I have to go with the urban legend.
Like, I'm a little partial.
I'm a little biased, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Tear jerkers or jump scares?
Ooh, oh God, these are hard. Fuck. I'm gonna say jump scare.
Jump scare, okay. Happy endings or bittersweet sacrifices?
Ooh, I like bittersweet sacrifices.
Bittersweet sacrifice, okay. Drafting a romance scene or drafting a suspense scene?
Suspense scene.
Suspense. Gritty Western plains like in Hawkmoon or modern suburban thrillers like Rabbit Flanders? I know we haven't really talked about that a lot.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to my roots on that one and go to the frontier.
Just with the way you spoke about it, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then anti-heroines like Molly Stone or villains like Vesta Ray?
Oh, I do love the villains. I mean, they're all great, but yeah, I mean, anti-heroines are, and they're so complicated, but I do love a good complicated villain as well. I mean, I think, I guess Silence of the Lambs is just pops to my mind again. Like, we love to root for a villain in a way, like, everybody loved Hannibal the Cannibal, I mean, Hannibal Lecter, he was awful. Just the worst, but you somehow were rooting for him. Like, I was glad he got away.
No, exactly. You feel like you hope for that shred of humanity that still is in them, or you hope is still in them to win out over the bad and the evil.
Or they're just so deliciously entertaining that you just can't help but like them.
That too. They're like, they're evil, but they're a little funny. Like,
he's funny, he's clever, and it's terrible, but it's true.
I guess we'll wrap it up now. I don't know. This is supposed to be like a 20-minute episode, but I feel like this is so much better. Like, it's so hard to contain, especially because we deep dived into things so much more, to contain that to just 20 minutes, like, or 15 questions. So I think this was so much better, like more than I even hoped for. I think it was awesome.
I loved it. I thought it was just great.
Yay. Amazing. And I love talking to you too. Like, you're just so, I said this when we interviewed too, but I love how honest and raw and open you are. And I was curious when I was reading the part where Carrie has that internal monologue going, where she's like, I don't care that you don't have this paperwork. I don't care that, like, you're having a bad day or whatever. Like, please just leave, when she's dealing with the customers at the notary. I was like, I wonder if sometimes that's like Nancy's internal monologue, which I feel like it's everybody's, to be fair, to an extent.
Yeah, I think
we talk about it.
Yeah, so and where that is actually real life experience. I worked at AAA for about 11 years, and so I was a notary there. That's where that character aspect comes from. But yeah, I mean, all that 100% real. And anybody who deals with the public, I mean, we're all the public depending on which side of the counter we're on.
Yeah.
So I know that I have gone up to someone and asked some unbelievably stupid question to some poor, grocery store, clerk or, cashier or whatever. And they're probably just like, oh my God, how did she even make it through the day? She really that dumb?
I worked in retail for a little bit too, so I've definitely been on the receiving end, but I have also I'm an anxious girl. Sometimes I ask really stupid questions just because I'm in the heat of the moment. I'm terrified.
Right.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know where I am. So I'm like, I'm sorry. I know this is really dumb, but yeah.
Here I go.
No, it's definitely so real.
Yeah,
So-
that was real.
So Nancy, this has been amazing. This has been so fun talking with you. I know we ran over on time just because the conversation was so good. I could literally talk to you for hours, but before we go, where can our listeners find you, follow your work, and grab copies of Pig, Rabbit Flanders, and then keep up with your re-released Hawkmoon trilogy when it does come out through Sunbury Press?
Yeah, so I do have a website. It's needs to be updated. It's what is it? It's nlwbooks.com is my website. You can find everything on there. I do have the trilogy on there now, but it's going to look totally different once Sunbury gets your hands on it. Thank God. But the plot synopses are still on there, so you can do that. You can certainly find me on Facebook, Nancy L. Williams, I think. Probably.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. Certainly through Sunbury's website. I think that's probably the easiest route. And I think that's it. I mean, I can, I think that's it.
Oh, you said in the author spotlight, you said that you have a project that you're working on currently.
Oh,
Are there
yes.
any updates on that?
I haven't, it's, well, two things, I guess. So and I'm assuming I'm allowed to say that Sunbury's going to have an anthology about, AI short stories. So I'm going to hopefully be in that. I'm not making any assumptions, but I have submitted 2 stories for that publication. So fingers crossed that, those are a go. And then I do have another novel coming out, or will be, it's in process, called Pegasus Down. Which is another lighthearted, heartwarming tale about
I believe it.
teenage suicide and whatever. Just kidding. Anyway, not really, but anyway, so that's definitely my current project. So stay tuned for all that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Nancy. And thank you to everyone tuning in. To make sure you don't miss out on future episodes, make sure you hit that subscribe button and notification bell. Maybe leave a comment below letting us know which one of Nancy's books you're going to pick up first or get to next. So thank you so much for watching. Until next time, I'm Kayla Kisthardt, and this is the Hellbender Books Podcast.